Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our crew open house. To start us off, I'll kind of just talk about some housekeeping things. We're just going to go over what crew life with American Conservation Experience is like in our crew program. If we could save all questions for the end, we'll do a question and answer all the way at the end. But if something pops in your brain and you forget, like I do all the time, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll get to it at the end. I'll jump to the next one here. Yeah, so my name is Anna. I'm the Pacific West Member Support Coordinator in our Coachella Valley branch. And so that means I do all the hiring and I support members while they're in a term with us. Before I was in this role, I was also a Pacific West ATL or assistant slash AmeriCorps team leader. And then I also was a crew leader. And then I joined ACE as an assistant team leader in January of 2024. So just over 2.5 years. And then I'll let Nina introduce herself.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Nina. I'm a member support coordinator for the Southwest Division based out of Flagstaff, Arizona. I started back in August of 2025, so I'm a little bit more of a recent addition. And I am like an external hire. I was not a member, not an ATL, not a crew leader. They pulled me in from the outside, and now I also help manage all the administrative and like behind the scenes aspects of a member's term while they're with us in ACE. And yeah, I have a little bit of a different perspective on it than someone who like kind of climbed the ladder within ACE, and I get to share those perspectives as well. But I love learning about how things were for folks that were a member and then a crew leader and then now potentially staff, things like that.
Nice. Cool. So who is ACE? So we are a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing rewarding environmental service opportunities that harness the idealism and energy of a young adult labor force to help restore America's public lands. And we're also one of the nation's largest conservation corps.
Pretty awesome. So, ACE, because we're one of the largest conservation corps, we are able to reach and support a large number of folks here in the US. So we have recruited and trained and mobilized over 1,000 young adults annually to serve on public lands. So this is spread out across all of our divisions. I believe this number also pulls in the EPIC program, which we will touch on. There was an open house just last week or the week before about EPIC, but we were able to reach a large number of folks and help them embark on their journey if they're looking to get into conservation work. And then we use our knowledge as staff and the knowledge of our project partners to offer extensive conservation knowledge to our members while advancing the professional development of those participants. So getting folks the training and the connections and the resources they need to really start applying for those conservation jobs out there.
So as ACE as a whole, so that includes EPIC and crew side of things, we've partnered with many federal, state, and local land management agencies, Forest Service, national parks, BLM, all those, and then also a lot of local nonprofits as well. And we've completed projects in all 50 states and several territories. A few of our divisions have projects in like Guam and Puerto Rico, and also Hawaii. So that's pretty cool. We're all over.
So many places. It's crazy. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're talking about crew specifically today, but we do have an EPIC program, and this slide is going to help us kind of break down the differences between the two paths that you can take if you are interested in ACE. So within Crew, the ACES Conservation Corps program is specifically designed for participants who are considering land and resource management as a career path or a potential course of study. So people that are delving into this, they're exploring their options, trying to figure out where they want to go and what they're passionate about. So project opportunities are more varied. During a term of service within Crew, you'll have the opportunity to explore different types of service, such as trail maintenance, habitat restoration, wildlife monitoring, fencing, fuels reduction, things like that. And we'll go over that in more detail momentarily. So during a 3 or 6 month or potentially longer AmeriCorps service term, members are supported with cost of living allowances. So everyone gets the living stipend. They get food provided while they're on project, and then they get free communal housing during their off days. So then if we compare that to EPIC, which stands for Emerging Professionals in Conservation, this program is geared towards recent college graduates or those who are seeking degrees with focused opportunities to develop and apply their resource management knowledge under the guidance of public land agency mentors. So it's a bit more focused. It's looking at individuals who are either in the process of achieving a degree or have completed their degree and want to really apply that knowledge and get that like hands-on experience through very specialized internships. So ACE Epic operates in coalition with partners. So we basically, well, not we, because I'm not in that part, but they take Epic folks and they put them in these internships all over the country where they're working very, very closely with folks from MPS, the Forest Service, BLM, Fish and Wildlife, and the Natural Resources Conservation Service. So it's very like, those folks are like, I know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing, and this is it. And so they go to Epic, and the folks that are like, oh my goodness, there's so many options. What could I do? Then they tend to come to Crew.
I also tend to see a lot of like non-traditional like degrees and things come through Crew. Like I have a psychology degree and never thought I would be working on a trail crew. So there's kind of a place for everyone, regardless of the program. But yeah, Crew, I see a lot more of those non-traditional folks coming through.
Absolutely.
So which program is right for you? Kind of already touched on this, but our Crew program is great for individuals considering a career in land management. Maybe you really like being outdoors. You have a lot of like camping and backpacking experience, or maybe none at all, and you don't want like that traditional desk job. This is a great place to come figure out maybe if this line of work is for you. You get outdoors and you do meaningful service for a set amount of time. In addition to the hands-on experience, we offer living allowance, meals while you're out on projects, and then that communal housing. And then it's also like good for like short term, like, like maybe you don't know if this is the right fit for you. We have those 450 or 3 month hour or 3 month terms. And then we also have longer opportunities, and we have a lot of members do multiple terms back to back, or leave for a little bit and come back. And then Epic are, like Nina said, more specialized positions and geared towards people who are looking to further their career in natural or cultural resources at a land management agency. More with that like hands-on, very specialized. They kind of know what they like about this field and they want to just continue to develop those skills. So in addition to that hands-on experience, you also the positions do offer living allowances like Crew, and many offer housing, but some of them don't. Whereas in Crew, like housing is guaranteed. You're always going to have a house, no matter what division you end up in. And then opportunities range from 8 weeks to a year. So just a little bit different term lengths. The Epic side of things don't operate usually on an AmeriCorps program, whereas Crew, we partner with AmeriCorps. So our terms are kind of set in those 450 or 900-hour ranges, or the 3 or 6 months.
Perfect. So we're just going to delve a little bit more. Obviously, this is the Crew open house, so we'll go into more detail about what you can expect from us. So during a term of service with ACE crew, you're going to gain essential field and professional development skills with the extra bonus of building lifelong friendships. That's something that ACE is really known for, those like lifelong connections that you make with your fellow members and the people you meet along the way. By working alongside ACE staff and representatives from, again, like the National Park Service, the Forest Service, BLM, Fish and Wildlife, other leading agencies, members will gain invaluable career perspectives and mentorship in a variety of areas. So again, we really want to sort of make it clear that there's a lot of different things that you can touch on while you're doing a term with crew. And then you get that mentorship from crew leaders, project partners, project managers, folks like that throughout the course of the term. I love that picture.
I know, they're cute. Yeah, I actually worked with one of those members when they came to PW, so it's nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so where are our crew hubs? So we have really cool locations all over the country. I think this 45 states includes Epic side of things, because they're kind of like all over the place. But our crew hubs, so we have our Flagstaff, Arizona, that was like our first branch. That's where our headquarters is. And then we have Asheville, North Carolina. Hurricane, Utah, Palm Springs, California. I think we advertise that as Coachella Valley, but our office location is in Palm Springs. And then we have Ridgecrest, California, and then Sacramento, California. We also do, like I mentioned, like the Hawaii crew is a specialized crew. I think the Eastern Division does the Guam and Puerto Rico stuff occasionally. Those are usually like as needed seasonal positions, specialized crew. And I think the Puerto Rico one is geared towards locals. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, kind of all over the place. And yeah, so you the base location is where your housing is, and then you'll kind of go off and do projects within, I don't know, eight or I guess a 2 to 12 hour, 10-hour drive, give or take, depending on where the project site is. So then you'll go off, do your projects, then you come back to housing for your off days, and all that.
Perfect. So let's talk a little more detail about what you'll actually be doing during a term with us. So, in order to help you get that experience and make those connections and find your pathway, we send you out on projects. So we offer a large variety. It is very team based. The team itself might vary in number. You might be on a crew where it's you, another member, and a crew leader, and that's the crew. Or you might be on a much larger crew. The average could be 4 to 5 to 6 members, but sometimes I don't know, at least at SWA, sometimes we have super crews.
Mega crews.
Just like so many people. But it is all team based. You're really working in conjunction with other folks who are trying to achieve the same goals as you. And this is a great opportunity to figure out what you love to do and to learn a wide range of technical skills that you can then take with you when you're applying for jobs. And you can say, look at all these things I've done. And then you can figure out, like, I really like this type of project much better than this type of project. So the kinds of projects that we regularly offer, some of these are more common than others in terms of like how many of these you'll be put on during a term of service. But we will do habitat restoration. That can look like building beaver dam analogs and Z dikes, and it's connected to invasive species management. So you can help restore a habitat by removing invasives that have encroached into the area, or potentially planting native seeds in the area to help bring back the original like ecosystem that was there. We also do a lot of fuels reduction in forestry. For SWA, at least, it's most common in the summer to have forestry projects. Those projects, you're going to get trained on crosscut or chainsaw because that's the primary way of achieving this goal of fuels reduction. Sometimes it's also like removing invasive species as well that can impact a wildfire should one start in an area, and it makes it much more damaging when there's invasive species in the area. We do a ton of trail maintenance, so much trail maintenance. That's like ACE's bread and butter. We love that. You're going out, you're making trails more accessible, more sustainable. Some trails haven't really been improved since like the 80s and they need so much help. And that's what we're for, is to help. And sometimes you're building entirely new trails where there weren't any before, taking social trails, if you're familiar with that term, and turning them into like certified, professional, like really, really great, legitimate trails. We sometimes do historic preservation. A great example that I always give coming from SWA is there is in Colorado Bent's Old Fort, which is an old series of adobe buildings that we help um, like support and like restore and things like that to make sure that they stay safe and accessible for lots of folks to come and visit and enjoy. And then we'll do fencing projects where we are repairing or installing boundary line fences on public lands. And then we do have projects that are dedicated to surveying and monitoring. Sometimes it's animal species, sometimes it's in like plant species, things like that. And then we do, this is kind of like a separate category in terms of backcountry. We'll have front country hitches and backcountry hitches. And almost any of these other categories of project could be either a front country or a backcountry, depending on how it is, how the work site is located to resources and like amenities and things like that. So you can take all of the previous projects and say, could be front country, could be backcountry for the most part, but we do offer backcountry as well. So, oh my goodness, so many things, lots of things going on.
Yeah, and as far as like front country versus back country, so regardless of the projects, you will be camping out sometimes at an established campsite, but sometimes even front country projects might not necessarily be an established campsite. So even front country projects could be like no bathroom on site and no like just like no amenities really. Sometimes they don't even have water, so we'll like send water out with the crew or a water filter. Um, and then whereas backcountry projects, you know, you're hiking in all of your gear in your backpack. Sometimes that includes your food. Sometimes backcountry projects are mule supported or animal supported, which are really fun. I really like those projects. And everyone gets to feed like the mules and stuff. It's really fun. So yeah, with front country stuff, we send y'all out with like a camp kitchen and all of that stuff that you'll set up at your campsite and cook all your food together as a crew. And then backcountry is kind of the same, just like a different kind of more dehydrated, non-perishable foods are sent out. So that's the difference between front country and backcountry. And then benefits. So it kind of depends on which projects you end up on. So we do try to give people like preference if they have something that they really want to try out, or they really want to get chainsaw trained, for example. But we also have a lot of moving parts in all of those things. So again, yeah, we try to give you guys preference, but it really depends on what projects you end up on and what we have available while you're in a term with us. And every season is kind of different. But you can guarantee, as far as benefits, we do the biweekly living allowance, weekly set rates. So that's a set rate. It's not hourly or anything like that, but it's provided by AmeriCorps and it shows up in your bank account just like a normal paycheck would. And that's to be used for any, you know, living expenses, bills, things like that that you need just to exist. And then free housing for your off days. So it's communal housing. Every division's a little bit different. Here in Pacific West, we just have like residential style housing, and then bunk beds in all of the bedrooms. Crew leaders get their own bedrooms, and then crew members will share rooms, usually with between 3 other members and 5 other members, give or take. And then you do get food while you're out on projects. We have a logistics coordinator that plans all of y'all's meals and snacks and all of that stuff. And then Food for your off days is on you to provide. But a lot of our divisions, I know in Pacific West, you can apply for California food stamps or CalFresh, and we provide all the documentation that you would need for that. Just to help your living allowance go a little bit further. It's a great benefit. I took advantage of it when I was a member, and it just helped my living allowance go so much farther. Um, of course, any trainings or certifications. So like wilderness first aid is a big one. I get asked about that all the time. So specific projects come with a wilderness first aid certification. So like chainsaw, we require all of our chainsaw projects to have a wilderness first aid. The whole crew is wilderness first aid trained. Um, but it's not something that we provide like to everyone. It kind of just is project dependent. I think crosscut is another one that's we train everyone for WUFA. I'm not sure how y'all do it in
Mhm.
SWA.
Mhm.
And then backcountry is another one. So like our month-long backcountry projects, which are a little bit more intense than our just normal 8-day schedule, which we'll get into in a little bit. They also, we prepare you guys. We know you're in a really remote location, so we just want everyone to have some kind of first aid training. Um, Other certifications are we do the Forest Service chainsaw certification. So at least in California, you need to have a U.S. Forest Service certification to chainsaw on the U.S. Forest Service land. That might be everywhere now that I'm thinking about it. Question
Yeah.
mark for ops. That might be an ops question. Um, but yeah, so if you are trained to either buck up trees or cut trees down, you will receive a certification in most cases. We don't do much crosscut. Does crosscut come with the same certification?
I don't see the documentation that comes after. I see other aspects of it, so
I
I can
believe
follow up
they
on
do. I think they also follow the U.S. Forest Service guidelines, so you would receive a certification for that.
this one.
Um, And then the AmeriCorps Education Awards. So that's provided, that's another benefit and really cool aspect of being an AmeriCorps member, is the education award. So that's provided to you upon completion of your service term. Once you finish all of your exiting items, finish all your hours, get to your end date, um, we will, yeah, do all of the documentation. And then the education award pops up in your AmeriCorps portal, and that can be used for any like past school loans. They do need to be federal loans. They can't be any private loans that you've already taken out for previous schooling, or it can be used for any future schooling that you might do. There's also a lot of really cool niche things that you can use it for. Like yoga certification is one of those. You can also use it for National Outdoor Leadership School or NOLS. That's a really popular one. So the internet has a lot of resources, or if you end up in our program, your member support team is also a very good resource to talk about how to use your education award. Um, Tent and PPE is provided for use during your term. And then, yeah, you also get outdoor ProLink deals. So we don't do a gear reimbursement, but we do offer ProLink deals. So you'll fill out this form and then you'll create an account through Outdoor ProLink once we verify that you are a member with ACE. And then you can go in there and order some discounted gear. And then transportation to and from all project locations or training at the warehouse is provided. Lifelong friends. I'm still friends with so many people that I was in the Corps with. So it's a really great place to make connections and find people with similar interests. That's why I joined ACE. That was like the most appealing thing to me, is I wanted to find more people in conservation. Um, and then also 4 to 6 days off. This was also very appealing to me. So depending on the project schedule, you'll have anywhere from 4 to 6 days off to explore between your hitch cycles. So you come back after you go out in the field for 8 days, and you come back and you have 4 to 6 days off in your base location. And that's for you to go explore. So, yeah, with your new friends that you just made in the program. Yeah, I was pretty much gone like every off days that I had, trying to explore all of California that I could. And yeah, it's really fun. People plan trips together and go to some really cool places. So that's definitely a big benefit of our program. And then conservation leadership opportunities. So our assistant team leader positions and crew leader positions, a lot of members go into those. And we'll talk about the difference in an ATL versus a crew member here in a little bit. Did I miss anything, Nina? That was a lot.
So that was awesome. That was great. Okay. Are you eligible to apply for the crew program? It generally depends, but we do have some core requirements that are obviously listed here on the screen. But ACE Crew is tied to AmeriCorps state and national grants, which are federal dollars that are earmarked for youth programs, and they have specific requirements to be part of the AmeriCorps program. So, depending on essentially like which division you're applying to or which position within those divisions you're applying to, there might be slight differences in terms of like maybe experience or certain backgrounds that we're looking for. But regardless, everyone has to fit under these minimum requirements. So members must be a US citizen, permanent resident, or have the appropriate work visa to serve as an ACE member. Federally funded projects require that members be US citizens or permanent residents. So that's coming from the folks that help fund our projects. They have that requirement. This is also connected to, this next one is connected to AmeriCorps as well. Pretty much all of these are. Members must be between the ages of 18 and 30. If you are a military veteran, then you have until you're 35 to join our program. And that is how you qualify for these positions, is by being in that age range. Members must have the ability to undergo a criminal history check. So that's one of the things we talk about in interviews and in job offers, is that if you are not willing to undergo a criminal history check, then you will not be able to join our program, something we have to do. And then some positions may require members to drive an ACE vehicle. This is always very clearly listed in the position descriptions when we post them. Whether you have to have a driver's license. So to drive an ACE vehicle, you must be at least 21 and you must have a valid driver's license and insurable driving record with the ability to provide required documentation. We do initiate driving record checks when we're onboarding folks if their position requires them to drive. So those are the like core things. If you're able to check that stuff off, then chances are you'll be a good candidate for our program.
So how do you stand out as an applicant? So apply for positions that meet your interests. We do have, so our application process is we have like a general crew, like I think it says location of your choice on the job listing. And in that application, it kind of our like national person reviews all of those, and then based on what you rank your location preference, so it lists all of our base locations, and then you kind of rate them like this one is my favorite, this is my least favorite, and then she sends those to the division that you rank based on if we need applicants. So if Coachella Valley is your number one, it'll end up in mine if I have an intake scheduled to come in around your availability. Otherwise, it might go down the list to like your number two, your number three, etc. But we also have like specific job postings as well. Like right now, Pacific West has our backcountry trail crew member. So you know that you're going to be doing backcountry trail work. And usually those in the project description or position description will have like the scope of work and what's expected of you within that position. So like ours are month-long backcountry projects, so it very explicitly says like what that project looks like. And then SWA has a botany position, so I think they're looking for folks that have maybe some botany experience to make that project successful. But generally, there's usually a general ACE application open at all times because we like to get folks in regardless of experience. So And then, yeah, it's important to highlight any relevant experience. We don't necessarily need people to have experience to be in our program, but if you do have experience, we want to hear about it. So any field work, educational background in the field, or in the field of environmentalism, familiarity with the region, even if you just have experience like backpacking or camping in general, we want to hear about it. And you can always articulate your interests in your cover letter. And then don't wait. Our positions fill up so fast. We get so many applicants. And there's constantly revolving opportunities. So if you don't see something that interests you right now, chances are in like a month or two, we'll put out our fall stuff and you'll have more opportunities. Or if like something doesn't work for your timeline, um, chances are that in another month or two, there might be something that'll work for you. So yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, so what will your daily life look like once you have applied and been offered the position and accepted the position and showed up at the division and you're ready to go and ready to work and ready to do the thing? This is what it's going to look like. So, a typical work day, you're going to wake up at 6 a.m., maybe a little earlier, maybe slightly later if you get ready really fast. But you have to be ready to start working at 7 a.m. So, this is like very firm for us. There's no like, oh, just 5 more minutes kind of thing. Nope, you've got your boots on, your backpack packed, you are ready to go at 7 on the dot. That is like so core to like how we function on Hitch. You will get two 15-minute breaks each day. You'll get a 30-minute lunch. You get back to camp by 5:30. You make dinner, you do your chores, you relax, you go to bed, and then you wake up and you do it all again the next day. So we have these three standard project schedules, the 8-6, at least for SWA and for Mountain West. That's our most common type of schedule. So you would be serving 8 days in a row. Those are 10-hour days, and then you'll have 6 days off in between. That's what Anna was talking about before with like getting those designated off days to go explore and things like that. So if you're on an 8-6, you'll get your 6 off days. We also do 4-3s. So those are where you're serving 4 days in a row. Again, those are 10-hour days, and then you'll have 3 days off in between. Um, we usually have 4-3s for projects that are closer to home base. So, like here in Flagstaff, if the project is within an hour or so from Flagstaff, you'll probably be on a 4-3 because of the convenience of it. And then 8-6s can be like wherever your project site is, could be an 8-6. And then we talked about month longs a little bit earlier. So those are projects where you are essentially like away from home base for longer than normal. So for us, for SWA and Mountain West, it's usually an 8-6-8. But again, this does vary depending on where you are. So if you're at SWA, you will drive out to the work site. Usually it's farther away. So for us, if we're in Flagstaff, this project could be in Tucson, or it could be in New Mexico, or it could be in Colorado. So you'll drive out, you'll do your 8 service days, then you'll spend your 6, in this case, 6 off days in a remote house or in an Airbnb that we get so that you can stay in the region. Then after those 6 days, you would do another 8 days of service, and then you would return in our case to Flagstaff or to Hurricane. For Pacific West, it's slightly different, and Anna, I think, will explain that right now.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So for us, I wish we did Airbnbs. That was cool. That's cool. Sounds
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so our month longs, I can really speak a lot for our it's our John Muir Trail Wilderness Conservancy project that we have in Southern California every year. Those are backcountry month-long projects. So those are gearing up to start in the end of June, both in our Ridgecrest and Coachella Valley locations. Um, so you're out in the backcountry for 21 days straight. And the work schedule is more of like a 5-day service week, and then you have 2 days off out in the field in the backcountry. So that's probably our like most unique project. Up in Sacramento, we also have a lot of month-long projects. They're more like a summer thing for the Pacific West Division, I would say. We also have one in Idaho out of our Ridgecrest branch, which is pretty cool. We're starting to branch out a little bit more to other states other than California in Pacific West, which has been really fun. Um, but yeah, and then after those 21 days, you'll come back and come back to your Coachella Valley housing or Ridgecrest housing. Um, but up in Sacramento, I know they have some where I think they're having base locations like in Oregon for the off days and not coming back to Sacramento for like 3 months. So
Hmm.
again, we usually have like specific postings for positions like that have like a really off schedule from the 8/6s or 4/3s. So just be sure to like read through the position description. There might be some additional information in there based on what we're recruiting for at the moment. And then most of the time, our hitch schedule, so when you go out in the field, we call that hitch, is a Wednesday to Wednesday schedule. We always try to send y'all out on a Wednesday and have you come back on a Wednesday, regardless of the 8/6s or 4/3s or month longs. At least that's how we do it here in PW. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, anything else you want to add, Nina?
I don't think so. We do, so, yeah, like ours is also Wednesday to Wednesday. Occasionally, if the project partner really needs us to adjust that, like, you know, the day that you head out and the day that you come back, occasionally we'll do that. But yeah, we almost always Wednesday to Wednesday, or yeah, you leave Wednesday and then things like that.
Oh,
So yeah.
cool. Yeah. And this photo down here, this is our like camp setup if you're on a front country project. It's we call it a Montana tent. So your like kitchen and stuff is in there. All the coolers usually hang out in there and the stove and all that. It's also very cozy when it's cold outside. So that's what that is. Cool. So growth opportunities. So you come in as a crew member. So what's next after that? What if you want to hang out and do some more stuff? So there's I put crew leader. I meant crew member. Let's all agree that that says member.
Yep.
Um, Crew member to ATL pathway is probably our most common. So ATL, we usually try to have an AmeriCorps team lead or ATL, one per project, partnering up with a crew leader. You might jump around to different crew leaders if you are an ATL. But yeah, the crew member position puts you in a really great spot to apply to an ATL position if they open up during or like after your term. Sometimes we promote ATLs within, like if you're already in a term as a crew member, sometimes we do promote to ATL once you get some hitches under your belt in a few months in the program. Another way to do it is you finish your current term as a crew member and then apply to an ATL position that starts after you finish that current term. Um, and the role of an ATL is they are expected to assist crew leaders in all aspects of crew work and life, including leading portions of crews independently. So if the crew needs to split up, maybe the ATL is in charge of one group and the crew leader stays with another. Um, Serving as an interim crew leader in the event of staff absences. So crew leaders get sick. They're all humans too. So occasionally we do have an ATL step up and lead an entire hitch on their own. So obviously with support from people back in the office, like their project managers. But as an ATL, usually we'll only ask those folks to do one hitch completely by themselves. Otherwise, we feel like you should, yeah, be a crew leader at that point, and we should pay you for that. um, and then setting a positive example for members. So these members that step into the ATL role are really going above and beyond during their first term of service as a crew member. Um, your crew leaders do feedback. So we look at that feedback and we also listen to the crew leaders and we really encourage members to express interest if they want to be an ATL. And then the crew leader checks in with the project manager and that gets back to us. So, but really what we're looking for is just someone who really goes above and beyond. And specifically, at least for me, I look at camp life, like really taking ownership of camp life and demonstrating leadership. out in the field and maybe at D-Rig, which is after project when we're debriefing and everything together. Um, but yeah, and then another thing that ATLs get is one-on-one mentorship with the member management team. So every division I think does this a little differently, but yeah, I check in with my ATLs after every hitch and before every hitch. Also, so they just get more of that like one-on-one staff time than a lot of other members get. There's a lot of members and usually only like one or two member support coordinators or member managers. So the ATLs kind of get just like more one-on-one time with staff. And then what are we looking for in an ATL applicant? So we do post outside ATL applicant or like job positions. So you can apply as an ATL or to be an ATL in our program, even if you've never been a crew member before in our program. I actually did that. So I joined ACE as an outside applicant as an ATL. But I had previous Conservation Corps experience with another conservation corps. So we either want folks to have previous ACE experience, maybe you did ACE Epic and we're managing like a smaller team, or you have other Conservation Corps experience. The California Conservation Corps is a big one here. We get applicants from there all the time as ATLs. But a lot of times we do like to hire from within the program for these positions, but not always.
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing we're looking for in an ATL applicant is the being eligible to drive our ACE vehicles. So we do try to have our ATLs be 21 and over, which is the age required to be a driver for an ACE vehicle. So if you become an ATL, it's a great way to get into a crew leader position. We'd love to see our ATLs move into crew leader positions. I did that as well.
Mhm.
So I was an ATL for a 900-hour term or a 6-month term, and then yeah, became a crew leader when a position opened up. So we really like people that know the program to move into those positions. So yeah, if you're interested in leading conservation crews, the ATL position is a great way to get the experience to do that. Do you have anything to add for ATL stuff? I know everyone does it a little differently. Cool.
No, that was so solid. Ours is essentially exactly the same. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there are a few ATL positions up right now. If y'all have any experience, might be a good place to check those out.
Yeah. All right. So, why should you join ACE? Why should you join ACE Crew? You all are the next generation of leaders shaping the future of our public lands. So, we always need to invest in the future, the folks that will carry our public lands into future generations as well. So, we are seeing a 7% increase this year in environmentally related jobs, and we want people to feel have the experience and feel empowered to apply for those jobs and get them. So there is a desire and a deep need for folks like you that are passionate, that are dedicated to the conservation field and want to bring their time and their energy and their talents to making sure that our public lands are safe and accessible for generations to come. So the Crew program offers an invaluable opportunity to gain a wide variety of technical skills to help you jumpstart your career in conservation. We invite you to explore and connect with and help preserve America's natural and cultural resources while building specialized skills and advancing your path in conservation. So it's really like Miley Cyrus, best of both worlds. Like you're helping the public lands, you're helping the conservation movement, and you are supporting yourself and following your dreams and things like that. So we encourage you to keep learning and keep growing and keep moving forward, explore public lands, discover different agencies. There's some that everyone knows about, there's some that lots of people don't know about, and deepen your personal connection to nature, culture, history, and the world of conservation.
Yeah. And I know we've kind of talked about this a lot already, but like really the community aspect of our career program is like the biggest
Mhm.
benefit I think that you can take away from being a part of this program. It's just like the lifelong friends and just finding people who are like-minded is
Mhm.
priceless. And it's just really cool to, from now as a staff perspective, like watching my members form their own little community, and it's just such a safe, inviting space for everyone, no matter what walk of life or background you're from. Um,
Mhm.
I think that's really like love grew for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
I think we've got, if we can get through the next couple slides, Anna, in like 3 minutes, so that we'll have 10 minutes
yes.
for questions.
Been yapping. Um,
As you and me.
Cool. So some project highlights. I'll talk about the first one. So, we had a crew out in Maui, Hawaii, I think the past 2 years, based out of Pacific West. So they were out there, working with Maui Invasive Species Committee, they were focusing on surveying for little fire ants, which is a very invasive species on the island that can damage a lot of native vegetation and infest and destroy beehives. It gets into people's houses and their bites are pretty painful. So, yeah, they were like setting little peanut butter traps, and then like monitoring how many ants were in the traps. So this is a project where like your temporary base location would be in Maui. They provide like a cabin for our folks to stay in a very remote like island setting. These crews are usually like really small, but it's a really cool experience. You work directly with the partner, and yeah, and you're in Hawaii. I mean, doesn't get much better than that.
This is amazing. This is crazy. I love that her name is like literally has little in it. They're not just fire ants, they're
Yeah,
little fire ants. And
yeah,
unfortunately, that makes me think like, oh, how bad can they be? Just no, they're bad, but it's like they're little fire ants. I don't
yeah.
know.
No,
They're
love that.
still terrible. We can't have
Yeah.
that. Okay. And then I want to highlight a project that we just had a couple hitches here in the Southwest in Arizona. So Meteor Crater is about 45 minutes east of Flagstaff, Arizona. It is literally a crater made by a meteor. It is amazing. It's massive. You can see the photo. It's so cool. And it's a really important landmark. It's a really valuable resource to scientists, and we also obviously have a lot of tourists come to visit. And there is a trail that goes down into the crater to the floor of the crater, but it was super dangerous. It was really steep. The soil, the dirt is very silty and fine and like falls away easily. So there really wasn't a secure, safe way for scientists and researchers to make their way into the crater. So our crew rebuilt the trail essentially. They accomplished so much in the two hitches that they were given, and they basically created an entire switchback to help reduce the steepness of the trail, and they built it with 24 rock steps and a bunch of retaining walls, and they were in some pretty tough conditions. It was windy, it was full sun. A few tents blew away, actually. That's how it was really windy. But they did it, they accomplished it, and in a really, really wild, kind of surreal location. Just love it.
Really cool. It looks like another planet.
Really does.
It's cool. Cool.
All
So
right.
some member highlights. So I actually worked with Emilio, our first member highlight. Yeah, he was started as a member and then became an ATL shortly after that. But he said after getting a basic understanding of core life, I wanted to learn how to apply the communication and leadership skills he developed. He's had the chance to travel constantly and have enjoyed staying busy while learning and teaching. I found it particularly useful to be comfortable wearing many different hats in this field, which is very true. Usually the people who are the most successful are very flexible and, just go with the flow type folks. Our program and our schedule is, I always say it's a living, breathing being. It's
Mhm.
always just like constantly evolving and changing. So we really ask that folks be very flexible. And then a little quote from an assistant team leader. So I've learned a lot since joining ACE. I've gained medical skills. I received my wilderness first responder certification and my chainsaw certification. I've learned how to use a lot of power tools and gained a lot of professional development skills during my time here. Working with ACE has made me feel like I'm contributing to something that is purposeful.
Amazing.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone. This is my email and Nina's email. If y'all want to take a screenshot of that, we're happy to answer any questions if you want to email us after about our application process or what positions we have open and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then our social media link is like right down there in that little QR code.
Yeah.
That was my crew. That was them out in the JMT project.
So great. That's a huge rock.
Yes, very large rock.
Oh my goodness.
Nice. Well, next, I think we're going to move on to the question and answer. So if anyone has any questions, you can either pop them in the chat or unmute yourself, and we'd be happy to answer them. I'm actually going to leave this up on the screen in case people want to.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
Hi, I had a question.
Yeah,
First, I want to thank you guys so much. This was very informative, and I deeply respect the work that you do. Thank you so much for taking the time to educate us and welcome us into this whole world. My question was, okay, so I think I got this right, but the hitches are, it's the name for like the cycle of like Wednesday to Wednesday, and that's basically like a week of work, right?
yep,
Hmm.
Okay. And so in between like the projects and work and everything, um you said you guys were talking about, I believe it was 10 hours per day working, right, in the field during the work days, correct?
yep.
Hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that just for my notes and stuff. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And regardless of like the schedule, whether it's like a 4-3 schedule or you're working an 8-6, our month longs is always a 10-hour day, usually 7 to 5:30. Occasionally that changes based on if it's like really hot outside, we adjust the time, or really cold. But yeah, generally you can rely on the 10 hours a day.
Hmm.
Nice. Thank you for the question. Any other questions?
Yeah. So also thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing all of that. That was really incredible to hear all that you guys do. If we've already submitted a few applications, what's the turn time for when you might hear back? And even if you're not accepted, will you hear back of like, thank you, but we're not moving forward?
Hmm.
Um, every division kind of does it a little bit differently, or every recruiter. But for me personally, yeah, you'll get something back regardless. Every application is reviewed, or we try to review every application. And then, yeah, usually you'll get an email directly from us if we want to schedule an interview. Or if you're missing a cover letter, I also will reach out and give you the opportunity to submit one of those. Um, and then if we chose not to move forward with your application, either like maybe the references or cover letter wasn't there or some other thing, usually we'll send something through our applicant like portal, saying that we won't be moving forward. So if you haven't heard anything yet, that's probably a good sign, that we're still working through applicants. Right now is our really busy season. So we have a lot of applicants. So just give it some time. Usually our turnaround time kind of varies. But I try to not let people linger in there for too long before reaching out. So I would definitely look at the job posting and maybe there's an email listed. And if you can always reach out.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Check in.
Cool. So just if it says so application received and forwarded to division, that's still in a review process.
Yep, most likely.
Perfect. Cool. Thank
That's
you.
one of those, like when the turnaround time varies, I would say it varies most dramatically between like if your application went into the general pool and then is being divvied out to the divisions, I think you can expect a slightly longer wait period versus if you applied for one of our more specific job postings. Those ones I think you're gonna most of the time hear back like in a week or two, and then it just can take longer. Like if you apply to the, pick your location, then it goes to the person that like divvies them out, and then it goes to each division, and then we review. So that one might take a little bit longer because there's just more
Cool.
steps to it.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
you're
Thanks.
more than welcome to like send one of us an email and we can check on the status of your application as well.
Yeah, great. This was exciting. So it's like,
Yeah.
put me to work. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, no, we love that energy. That's awesome. Thank you. Any other questions? Those were great questions.
Yeah.
I had
Cool.
one come in the chat, like at least my
Yeah.
chat, when you guys were talking about asking if the AmeriCorps like education award covers wildland firefighting courses. I don't know if you guys know if that
Hmm.
does or not, or maybe it depends on who it's through, maybe. I'm not sure, but I wanted to bring it up since I saw it in my chat.
I'm not sure.
I I want to say yes because it is a course and like there's if it's an educational opportunity, they do tend to it tends to work out. But we'd have to go, I think, like
I
sift through the AmeriCorps website.
I think it has to be through a university. So if the course is
Mhm.
offered or the program, sometimes like the National Outdoor Leadership School partners with a university in Colorado,
Mhm.
which makes it eligible to be used, or your education were to be used to pay for a National Outdoor Leadership program. So if the wildland firefighting courses are part of a university, I would say yes. But sometimes just like if it's an organization that has no affiliation with any university, probably not. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, but you probably have to sift through the AmeriCorps resources to be 100%
Mhm.
certain. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was
If
also my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
might be
I
another
knew
one.
I was going to forget unless I typed it, and sure enough, I forgot entirely.
That's it. I think maybe if you need us to follow up on this, you should reach out to me or Anna so we can
Yeah.
help with that sifting.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of resources, and we can go dig that up together.
Yeah.
You,
Okay, awesome.
us, we
Thank
go
you.
dig. We find some specific answers if we can.
I got a question. Do we know the coordinator for Eastern and the Northern North Carolina hub? It's Sydney. Sydney, is that the
That's the recruitment. That's the recruitment
yeah,
thing.
Sydney Snag, I think is her last name.
Sang.
Sang, yeah. That yeah, all of our emails are just our first initial of our first name with our last name. I can privately DM this person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like if they've applied for an Eastern, like, it's like you were saying before, Anna, which is really useful, is that the listings for the Eastern divisions would have her email in there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Um,
that would be
yeah, I'm not
great
sure what Eastern's recruitment looks like right now.
for the
But
rest of the summer.
yeah.
I think, well, I think they're in a similar boat to us, where like a lot of what's available right now is towards the end of the summer slash fall. But it's hard. Yeah, we don't have Sydney here. I
We
miss
don't.
her.
Yeah, they're great. So definitely reach out. They'd be happy to answer, I'm sure. Any other questions? Cool. I like your dance, Nina.
Thanks. This is
Cool.
professional.
Thanks, everyone. If there's no more questions, can let y'all go. Do you see
A couple
something?
people just turned their cams back on, but I don't know if that means question. They're just like so friendly and want to like wave goodbye to us, maybe. I don't know.
Only you and me.
Ah!
I can't see anyone, but bye.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. This is great. Yeah, you got our emails. Please don't be shy. Let us know whatever we can help you with.
Yep.
And we're so grateful that you all tuned in. Because otherwise it would have been me and Anna just talking to each other, which is like
Talking into the
fine,
abyss.
I don't mind, but it's great that we had some folks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Please
yeah.
don't be afraid to email. I love hearing from applicants. So I want to get people in the program and have this experience. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mhm.
Cool.
All righty, we'll wrap this up then.
Thank you guys.